Oh, isn't it your joy? You get me to irritate you 2 times a day, or today at least. Got a question. They keep on saying children aren't spreading the virus. But yet, when schools have opened and children have attended school with teachers who have tested negative, somehow these teachers are getting the virus. Could it be that children don't spread the virus as much because in general population, adults don't speak at the child's level? I mean, think about it. You've got a child waist high to you, and they're talking to you. How often does the child stay like this talking to you? Or how often do they stay like this? So if they're infected and your head's way up here and they're talking like this, their viral load is going out this way. It's not going up this way. And when they do talk like this, the question is how far up will a viral load go in a room with circulation? And will it reach that adult's face who is twice as tall as that child? Now, in schools, teachers do have a habit of kneeling down to talk to a child face to face so that the child can feel more comfortable or understand more what the adult is saying, so that the adult is at the child's level. And the teachers are catching COVID at these schools. Now, how are they catching this at these schools if these infected children who are showing no symptoms but have not been tested are not spreading it? Think about that. Maybe the question isn't whether or not a child can spread it. Maybe the question is whether or not the reason a child isn't spreading it so much is because of their height, how they talk, and how far the virus will spread upward when they're talking upward. I know I'm talking to just a bunch of ordinary people out there, but maybe somebody out there can ask somebody that matters, that can study this, about this very question. Is it truly that children do not spread the virus? Or is it because far too often younger children talk at waist level to adults? And when they look up, the virus spread is not coming up high enough to come up to the adult's face so that the adult can catch it. And with teenagers, is it truly that they do not spread it? Or is it because far too often when you're talking to a teenager, they're doing something like this? Okay, yeah, yeah. Or they're doing something like this. All right, Mom. I heard you, Mom. Okay, teacher. Talk to you later. And they're halfway across the room. And especially in schools where they're halfway across the room with a mask on. Is the true reason why children are not spreading the virus is because of the makeup of how the virus spreads? and the makeup of how children talk to adults, adults talk to teenagers and or children, and how teenagers talk to adults and how adults talk to teenagers. Because somehow, when a family is infected with COVID virus and don't know it, that child goes to school and somehow that teacher is getting infected. And somehow a child in school is getting infected and bringing it home to their family. There could be families that tested 3 times before the child went to school and it came out negative. The child goes to school, spends a day or two in school, comes home, and then 2 days later, the child and the whole family is testing, showing as positive. How is that? Why is that? Is it because the child really isn't spreading it? And it's from child to child, because then at very least, they're spreading it to each other. Or is it because at the level that we speak to children, the virus is not getting to our face, so it is not infecting us as easy until the child goes home and mom's laying in the bed and the child's talking to mom, mom's sitting on the couch and the child's talking to mom, mom kneels down to give her child a hug and ask him how his day is, and the child is talking to mom. But out in public, child asks the teacher a question, child is talking to teacher. Child is talking to a stranger in public, child is talking to the stranger. You see the difference between here and here? I don't think we have a nose in our belly button. And by the time a person spends 8 hours at work with their clothes on, and then come home and pull the clothes over their head, that virus is dead. So it's less likely that it's going to spread there. But if that teacher is going down to the child's level to speak to that child and not social distancing, they're going to get a load of the virus from that child because they're talking face to face. Think about it. And somebody needs to study that, because there is somehow that virus is being passed around in schools when they open up the schools. They need to figure it out, because they don't, they're never going to get a grip on it. They're going to keep on saying kids don't spread it and not worry about testing these kids before they go to school, because taking the temperature is not going to cut it for an asymptomatic child. And you need to get your head out of the thought that we just have to take the temperature. No! You have to do the testing and make sure that they pass. If that means that because testing has availability, you've got to take 2 or 3 tests to make sure the person has passed, and make sure you take an oral and a nasal test, then that's what you do. But you don't go running around saying children don't pass it on without studying why, or if it is possible. Without questioning why these negative tested teachers are catching it in school. But in the general population, kids aren't usually spreading it. What is the difference? What is the mitigating factors that cause it so that a child may pass it on at school or at home, but not in the general public? What is it that is the difference? Because clearly, these teachers who were cleared and said to be COVID free are catching the virus at the schools somehow. And could it be because they're letting their guards down around children because they're told children can't infect people? Apparently, from what I can see, that's not completely true. Because those teachers are getting infected somehow. If it only happened to one teacher, I could say, okay, they're getting it from when they go to the grocery store or something. But when it happens to 3 teachers in one classroom, nuh-uh, nuh-uh. Because those 3 teachers leave that classroom and go to different places. So there's no reason why you can accuse it on being in public. They caught that somehow in the school. How did they do it? How did it get passed to them? Who passed it to them? Because it happened. And one of the teachers died. We need to start studying it better. Stop guessing that the children can't infect adults. Start asking why most of the time children don't. Start taking a look at what level a child, a toddler, a small child speaks to an adult and how they speak to an adult compared to a teenager, compared to 2 adults talking. And go from there and figure it out. Because if it's simply the fact that most people do not go down to child level to speak to the child, then it's not the fact that child can't spread the virus. It's the fact that the virus is not getting to the other person. But the instant that person comes down to that child's level, that person can get infected. So think about it.